All right, what's up, boys? This is Tusk. Super quick 2 minutes, rough around the edges, Garcia sim guide, because there's a lot of questions about how to sim and, X piece versus Y piece and so on and so on. So just gonna quickly cover how you do this stuff. The very first thing you want to do is you want to go to the description of this video and click the link that guides you to the Classic Roguecraft Discord, because that's where you're going to find the link for this. And you should also just hang out there in general, because it's an awesome place and people are willing to help, and it's a cool community. So first thing you do is you go to that link, and once you've done that, you get a link to the Classic Roguecraft Discord. And in here, you'll see the channel called Spreadsheets and Formulas. And you click this link in here, and then you get this page, and you scroll down here to Spreadsheets, and you click the Garcia DPS sim thing here, and then you click this link. This link is going to give you the direct file download to the Garcia Rogue Sim, the latest version. This link will always be updated no matter what version he puts out. So when you click this, preferably in Excel, I think it's made for Excel. I think it kind of works in like LibreOffice, OpenOffice, maybe even like Google Sheets to some degree. I think he's been making some stuff, some compatibility stuff with Google Sheets, so you guys can experiment with that if you want. First thing you want to do here is you want to activate like editing and so on in this sheet, and you want to activate macro content. So you do that first. That's those two check boxes there. The main tabs that we'll be using when doing like a super basic sim is the gear tab first of all, and the talents tab. So in here, in the talents tab, you will basically see that there is a drop-down menu with the cookie cutter, combat daggers and combat sword specs. You guys can adjust these to whatever you actually use in the game. These talents are laid out just like they are in the actual game. So that's the main thing. That's the talent section here. You just check this, make sure that it aligns with whatever you'll be using in game, and then leave it at that. The second thing that you can mess with if you want to is this section over here. And the main part that you want to maybe look at here is something like the fight length. And I believe you set that down here. It says fight length in seconds, 75 seconds. This is a pretty decent baseline. But it will depend on your actual kill times. So, just kind of like take your average kill time into account in your specific guild and adjust accordingly if you want to. It doesn't hugely matter. A lot of people use like 60-second times. Some people use 75, and I know Snow uses 90 for a lot of his sims. So it doesn't hugely matter, but you can mess with this stuff if you want to. Another thing that I personally do once in a while just to check some stuff is check this Veilstress fight. And if I suddenly need to know, is XYZ item better than so and so on Veil specifically, you can check this box there, and it messes with the cycles and make sure that you have like basically infinite energy to sustain a Veil style fight. So that's something you can do there. Secondly, that's just like the start of it. This is what you want to, like, this whole page here is what you want to do as the first thing, basically. Just check and make sure it's set up. The second thing you want to check is the gear tab here. So this is basically like your standard like gear selection. So first of all, depending on what phase you're currently in, you want to make sure that like the phase that you're going to be simming gear from is enabled down here. So currently everything up until phase 5 is enabled. If you want to like check some next stuff out, you can check the phase 6 box down here, and that will allow you to select next pieces from these drop downs over here. There are also some basic presets here. Phase 4 biz swords, phase 4 biz daggers, phase 3 biz, pre-biz, so on and so on. You can use these as a baseline if you want to. But what you basically want to do, first of all, is you want to make sure that you've set the correct race down here. This is pretty important, specifically if you're human, for swords and that kind of thing. So you can change that if you want to. And otherwise, you just select an item. Let's say, for the sake of example here, that we would want to figure out whether or not Maladeath is better than, Corehound Tooth or some shit. So we have Maladeath here. That's the baseline. You can see it nets us a total of 1249 DPS currently, and that's like that's the number that we'll be paying attention to here. So this is the total DPS number. When you press the save DPS button, it'll basically save that number and it'll keep that number in that box regardless of what changes you make to this section here until we click it again. So you can basically see that if we do, say, Melodeath, and we change Offhand Sword to, say, Offhand Dagger, we set it to Core Hound Tooth, boom. So Core Hound Tooth, with this setup, with these talents, combat swords, blah, 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 would be a -26 downgrade. And so this is basically the core of how you use Garcia. This is what you do to figure out, is so-and-so better than so-and-so, and blah, blah, blah. So you use this number up here and this difference to kind of gauge that. That's basically it for like using Garcia, like to the basic level. Another thing you can mess with is the world buffs. Like try to match like this whole section here with what you actually might have in a realistic raid setup. So like if you're one of those guilds that like never try for Dark Moon buff, or you don't like, or you're Horde and you don't have Paladin Blessings, just make sure that all this stuff is set up correctly. Like it's basically like from here and then down, like all the way down here. Just make sure that this list is relative to what you're actually going to be using in the game, right? So that's that. And then the last thing I'll just quickly mention is that there's this thing here called Spellbook Crit and Crit Cap. If you're above the Crit Cap, then this number will turn red. So when you do your sims and you're wondering like suddenly why is this item that's obviously better, like not simming as good as I thought it would, well, that's probably because you're crit capped, and if that item has crit or agility on it, it'll be like heavily diminished in value, which is why that might happen. So in general, you just want to make sure that you're not crit capped. So that's like a super mega quick rushed rough around the edges guide to Garcia Sim. If you guys have any questions about how to use this sheet, you can either ask in the Discord. I'm sure someone will help you out, or you can DM me on Discord or whatever. If you're in the Classic Rogue Discord, that's completely fine too. There are some other tabs down here like damage cycles and damage calculations. I know Snow messes with these for his like super brainy like sim setups that he uses for his articles. I don't have enough brain power to use these, so I just leave them be, and they're fine as they are, unless you do some mega like nerdy stuff. But this will do for 90% of people. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you around.